Hey there, how we doing? This is Mr. Murray coming to you from school, believe it or not, with a little video on absolute value equations. All right, so this is the sheet we did in class. I'll go through a couple of these because it seems like some of us are still struggling with some of the concepts here behind absolute value equations. Okay, so the idea is to get the bars alone, take the bars off, and then solve. Okay, so let's start with this one right here. 6m is equal to 42. So I'm not going to do the whole sheet. I'm just going to do a couple of examples. Okay, you should be able to find the answers online, but the answers don't have the solutions. Look, so I'll show you. The answers are there. They're not going to have the solution. They're not going to have exactly how to do it, and you need to know how to do it. So 6m is equal to 42, the absolute value. We need to find, first of all, are the bars alone? In this case, the bars are alone. There's nothing in front of the bars or after the bars. So it means we can take off the bars. Now, let's take off the bars. We have to ask ourselves, forget what's in here. What numbers have an absolute value of 42? Okay, in other words, what numbers are 42 away from 0? One of them is 42. The other one of them is negative 42, right? So if this, whatever it is, if it equals negative 42, when I take its absolute value, I'm going to get 42. If it equals positive or negative 42, we know that will happen. So now I divide by 6, I get m is equal to 7. Now I divide by 6, I get m is equal to negative 7. Now this is one of the big mistakes people make. The big mistakes is once they get an answer, they just say, oh, it's got to be the opposite of that answer, right? It's the answer or it's opposite. But that is not true. Let me give you an example here where I do this one. So first, I check, is there anything in front or after the bars? Okay, there's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the bars. So what numbers have an absolute value of 7? This is 7 plus p. So either 7 has an absolute value of 7 or negative 7 has an absolute value of 7. So that means if this thing here is equal to 7, when I take its absolute value, I get 7. If it's equal to negative 7, when I take its absolute value, I also get 7. So let's solve this. So I have minus 7 on both sides. I get p equals 0, okay? Then I minus 7 on this, and I get p equals negative 14. So see the difference? It's not enough to just say, because what happens is a lot of people get the negative 14, and they'll be like, all right, it's plus 14 or minus 14. It doesn't always work that way. Okay, so don't ever make that assumption. I need you to practice splitting it into the two equations before you try to do something like that. Okay, it's really, really important that you do that. Okay, now I'm going to show you one where the bars are not alone. So let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, before I do that, let's show you number 4. The other big mistake people make is they try to multiply, like for example, multiply by 7 because that's in the bars. You cannot, think about this as like a force field. You cannot touch anything that's inside of the bars, okay? So here, first, notice the bars are alone. So I'm going to take them off. All right, what numbers have an absolute value of 3? Okay, either 3 or negative 3, okay? Now I multiply both sides by 7. So one thing that helps you is once you get the bars off, solving is the same. It's the same step. This is multiplying by 7. This is multiplying by 7. Okay, and I get x equals negative 21. So in this case, again, we happen to get an answer and it's opposite. But the only reason that happened was because of the step that we actually took. It was just dividing by a number. When it's like subtracting or adding, it's not going to be that easy. So please do me a favor and never assume that it's always going to be a number and it's opposite, because a lot of the time you're going to be wrong. Let's look at an example where the bars aren't alone. So let's take a look at 8. So notice in 8, what we have is, well, in 8, we're dividing here by 5. So remember, the bars are not alone, okay? Like here, see, nothing in front of the bars, under the bars, after the bars. Here, there's something after the bars. So the first thing we need to do is multiply both sides by 5. That gives us the absolute value of m is equal to 15. Now the bars are alone. So we'll take off the bars. M is 15. M is negative 15. And remember, how do we check this? Here's how we check this. We come back in, we plug it in. What's the absolute value of 15? It's 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay? What's the absolute value of negative 15? It's 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay? So you want to check your work. All right, now I'm going to show you another one here. So how about this one right here, number 10? How do we do number 10? So first, we have to get the bars alone. Are the bars alone? They're not, right? Because you have to first subtract 2. Get absolute value of m is equal to 9. And now you take off the bars. So I have m is equal to 9. M is equal to negative 9. Okay, remember, this rule does not always work. The only reason this rule is working is because there's nothing else in the bars, inside the bars except m. So that's where you kind of get the answer and it's negative, but you should, again, never assume that's going to happen. All right, let's look at another one where the bars are not alone. How about number 14 here? So 4 times absolute value of n plus 8 is 56. Okay, so notice the bars are not alone. You've got a 4 in front of it. So I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. Okay, that'll cancel. Okay, one thing you never do is never distribute into the bars, okay? Think of these like a force field. Okay, nothing can go in, nothing can come out. You got to get the force field alone before you destroy it. Okay, so I'll do 4 into 56. So 4 into 56, let's see. So that I get the absolute value of n plus 8 equals, well, 4 goes into 5 once. 4 goes into, with the remainder 1. 4 goes into 16 4 times. Okay, 14, 28, 42, 56. Now I'll take off the bars. So what numbers have absolute value of 14? Think about it. Okay, either 14, that has absolute value of 14, and so does negative 14. So now I'm going to subtract 8. Okay, n equals 6, or I'll subtract 8 here. N equals negative 22. Okay, 6 plus 8 is 14. Absolute value of 14 is 14. 14 times 4 is 56. Negative 22 plus 8, that is also negative 14, or that is, I guess, negative 14. Absolute value of negative 14 is 14. 14 times 4 is 56. This is why you always need to do all your work out, okay? One thing I kind of saw in class that kind of made me a little upset is people just getting an answer and then just doing the negative. If you don't do the work, one, you're cheating yourself because you're not getting the answer that you need to be getting. And two, if you're going to do this on quizzes or tests and you're not going to show your work, I'm not going to give you credit because you have to show your work. There's just no option about it, okay? There's just no option. All right, how about number 18? Number 18, I've got negative 10, absolute value of v plus 2 is equal to negative 70. So what's the first step, folks? It's to divide by negative 10. Okay, so I get v plus 2 in the bars is equal to 7. Can I take off the bars now? Yes, I can. The bars are alone. So I have v plus 2 is equal to 7. V plus 2 is equal to negative 7. So I subtract, get v equals 5. Subtract, I get v equals negative 9. Okay? So those are my two answers. Now, just a quick recap. Remember that when the bars are alone, if the bars with something in it, no matter what it is equal to a positive, as all of these have been, notice you should be getting two solutions. Okay, if the bars is equal to a 0, you should be getting one solution. If the bars is equal to a negative, you get 0 solutions. Okay, that's important. Now, in this case, all of them should have at least one solution. As far as I can see, they are all going to have two solutions. But let's look at 8. let's look at rather 16, okay? Sorry, I feel a little shakiness there. So 16, I bet people are going to say, guys, no solution. Here's why you're not correct. Why are you not correct to say 16 has no solution at this point? The answer is because the bars are not alone. Look, there's something with the bars. So you cannot make that diagnosis until you've gotten the bars alone. Because look, now the bars are alone and it's a positive number, okay? So x minus 7 equals 1, rather x over 7 equals 1, x over 7 equals negative 1. It's a negative 1, so I multiply by 7 on both sides. I get x is equal to 7. Again, x is equal to negative 7, okay? So you got to be really, really careful. Here's another place where I saw people saying no solution, and I think I might wrap up the video after this one. So what we have is that negative 3 times the absolute value of p is equal to negative 12. I saw people writing no solution. Here's the thing. The bars are not alone. You first have to divide by negative 3. Oop, I lost my light. As you can see, I'm in my room. I got my sensor light here. Give me 1 second to get that light turned on. All right, there we go. All right, so as I was saying, you're dividing here by negative 3. So that means, in this case, that's what you have to do first. And notice that once I divide by negative 3, I get the absolute value of p is equal to 4. So that actually means this does have a solution, right? So I split it. P equals 4. P equals negative 4, okay? So folks, look, this stuff that we're going to do in class is not easy, but you got to make a decision. Are you going to spend the time to split this up and do the work, or are you going to start to get a little bit loose with how you're being with the work right now? Because this is really important stuff. This is going to continue to come back over and over. You're likely going to see this at the beginning of next year. It's going to be rehashed, and it's going to continue to come up in high school. You have to understand how to do these kinds of equations. And so that's why we need to get away from those tendencies to just say, all right, and just shoot through it. It's not doing you any favors, okay? So I hope that you found this video to be informational. Again, note that on the Binder website, you will be able to find the answers, but on the Binder website, remember, it's not gonna have any of the work. So it's not gonna do you any good to do that, to just get the answers if you don't know how to do the work, okay? So if you have questions, please feel free to come in and ask for extra help, and keep at it. And remember, folks, you can do it. All right, so keep it up, keep asking some good questions, and don't forget to love math. Have a great one.